Welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast, the world's leading authority on childcare marketing, mindset, expansion, and profitability. Each episode will feature interviews with the brightest minds in the childcare industry to guide you into becoming a smarter business leader. Our hosts have opened 10 schools while raising 5 children. They are certified business coaches and are the top-selling childcare business book authors of all time. This episode is sponsored by Childcare Genius Marketing. Let Childcare Genius Marketing help you get fully enrolled and fully staffed. Visit childcaregenius.com for more details. Let's welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast our hosts, Brian and Carol Duprey.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast. This is episode 154, and I want to be the first to wish you a Happy New Year here from the Childcare Genius team. My name is Sindye Alexander. I'm the COO over here, and I, today, am interviewing the amazing Brian and Carol Duprey. We want to talk today about goal setting, and who better to talk about it with than the crusher of goals, Mr. Brian Duprey. He's always setting these big, hairy, audacious goals. And I'm like, are we going to be able to reach those? And we always do. And so I think the best way to get his points across is to pick his brain and find out how he does it.
Awesome.
Sound
well,
like a good plan
Year,
today?
Sindye.
Happy New Year.
Can't believe it's 2025 already. Like when remember when 2000 came in, Y2K? Was 25 years ago, and we have clients that weren't even born yet.
I know, like Back to the Future was set in the past at this point. It is crazy to think of, such a futuristic number, but it's just regular life. 2025.
Well, it's a new year.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm excited for the new year.
Last week we talked about looking back at 2024 and talking about some of the things that maybe did right or wrong. Well, now we need to start looking ahead. Like, let's do some goal setting. Let's do some planning. Let's figure out what we did wrong and improve on it. Let's figure out what we did right and make it even better and set some nice, big, hairy, audacious goals for 2025. Yeah. It's going to be a great year for everybody. And we've got some great podcast goals. And first thing I want to talk about is financial goals. I want to talk about financial goals. So if you're listening to this podcast, what did you make in 2024? What do you want to do in 2025? It's very realistic that you could add 10% on to your profit margin of what you did last year. If you did, say, 15% profit, 16.5% profit is adding 10% to that. It's just 10% of 15 is 1.5. So you can, add that in there. Is that realistic? Absolutely. Can you do another 20%? Look at where you are, look at where you want to go and the goals, and then write down, figure out what number you want. Carol and I just got back from a weekend this weekend. We started setting the goals for 2025 already. We're early in there. You can never wait. Don't wait until you're halfway into 2025 and say, what do we want to do by the end of the year? You got to think about it early. So financial goals are important.
So if somebody looked at their finances and they're not quite happy with where they ended up this year, what are maybe some of the key reasons or maybe a couple of strategies that they could look at to either increase their revenue or cut expenses? Are there any, couple bullet point? I'm sorry, did I say that right? Decrease expenses, increase revenue is what I meant.
Yeah, so to get where you want to go, you got to look where you've been. So the best way to do it is to print a profit and loss statement for 2024 and find out where all the money went, and if you want to increase income, decreasing expenses is one way to increase income. Like maybe you spent money, maybe, I don't say the word foolishly, but what's the word I'm looking for? Freely?
Well, I mean, like we've talked to people that have cleaning companies that come in and clean their centers. And when they look at what they're actually spending for these, realizing that they can get somebody on hair.com to come in at,
a much lower rate.
A much lower rate, or have one of their employees help with the cleaning, or have their employees clean during the day so there's a lot less to do in the evenings. Little things like that have big
finding cost savings in
right.
there. And when you lower the expenses, you increase the profit. So, we had one person paying, I think, $1,200 a month for a cleaning company, another one over $2,000 a month. We had them cut out that expense. They paid a teacher time and a half to come in on the weekend, and she needed the overtime money, and it was a heck of a lot of savings. She did a great cleaning job, and it was a win-win all around, and saving the company a whole lot of money. So you can look for those strategies and add a lot to your bottom line at the end of the year. And with that extra money, you could do anything you want with it. You can give it all away. You can give it to your teachers. You can give extra this, and you can improve things at your school. There's so much you could do with it. But you have to look at what you're spending on, and don't just assume that if I do everything I did last year, I'll make the same amount this year. Not the case.
And also, it's very, very hard to increase your prices at the rate of how everything's increasing. So you can raise your rates, but you're still going to have less profit if you don't do some cutting.
Yes, that's a good point, Carol. Most of our clients have raised tuition by 20, 25%, maybe 30% in the last 3 or 4 years. But our actual costs have gone up more than that. So unless you've done some of these cost-cutting things, your profit, you've actually gone backwards. Now, the problem with that is a lot of people have used grant money as their crutch, or thinking they're doing better than they're actually doing. And they could look at a number and say, yeah, I made $200,000 last year. Well, $182,000 of it was grants. So you really only made $18,000. That means this year, when there's no grant money in 2025, which there'll probably be a lot less in 2025, you're only going to make that's your starting point, 18. So, and it's just hypothetical, of course, but you need to, when you're doing these projections, pretend like you're getting no grant money at all, and use that as a gravy. If you get it, that's gravy, that's extra, but don't plan on it, because it's going to be clawed back. A lot of that was COVID money, and it's it's ended. It's gone. We're back to normal.
Those are some good tips. Thank you for sharing those. But let's think about like some personal growth goals. You just stress the importance of setting some financial goals so that way we can get there. But what about what are you thinking when it comes to personal growth?
So mindset is one of the key elements of growth of your business. If your income never grows faster or bigger than your mindset. So if you have a negative mindset, you're not going to increase your personal wealth or your personal growth. So you have to continually be working on that. It's like your self-image your income's never going to outgrow your self-image. And I've seen that case basis. The most successful people are the happiest and most positive people. It's just a normal way it is. And it seems like the negative Nellies always seem like roadblocks always come in their way. It's just kind of a fact of life. I think I don't know how that works, but anyway. So the more you work on your personal growth, the more I think you could see yourself becoming more successful. And I think it kind of manifests when it comes to that. So personal growth goals could be the amount of time you listen to podcasts, the amount of books you read. Carol and I have a reading plan that we read every morning for almost an hour. And then we read at night for a half hour. So we get at least probably between an hour and a half every single day of personal growth. And when I'm driving, I'm listening to podcasts. So I can only listen to podcasts when I'm driving. I can't listen to it when I'm working, can't listen to it when I'm home. Just me. You don't listen to, you're not a podcast person. You do Audible. But you don't podcast.
I do Audible. I don't do podcasts.
Sindye, are you a podcast person? You do podcasts?
I do some podcasts, yeah. Once I find the ones that I like, I stick with them, but I don't just listen to podcasts for the sake of it's a podcast. So, but you know what? One of my friends shared with me, she's really big on setting goals. But one time she's like, well, it's my goal to reach out and make 3 new business connections every week. Like as far as her her own business that she does. It's not in our industry. But I just thought, like, I never thought about that, like making connections within your community. Not only your community, but within the childcare realm, we've got a great place for you to make connections with us and the Childcare Genius Mastermind group on Facebook. So there's a lot of ways that you can make connections with other business owners, but those personal connections contribute, I think, to your personal growth. Have you heard of that phrase, or I guess the law that, like, you are the sum of the people, like the 5 or 6 people that you spend the most time with? If you want to up-level yourself, start trying to find places where people who have been before you have been. And some of those places are, within our childcare, coaching communities. Sometimes it's like within your own community, other business owners, or, places in your town or your city. Find those leaders and learn from them and grow yourself through other people as well.
100%. Love that. So when you're setting these goals, you need to figure out what you want to do. Whether you find out how you learn, whether it be reading, whether it be listening, some audible in there. Like I talked to a person today I coach, and he's like, Brian, I listen to podcasts while I'm working, while I'm doing this and the other thing. I said, do you really focus in when you're doing that? He goes, no, it's kind of like noise in the background. I'm absorbing it. So I'm trying to get him to slow down by sitting down and reading it and absorbing it. It's something that was hard for me to do. But and Carol, was really hard for you to do. Just Carol wasn't a reader as well. By now us forcing to do it, we're actually speeding up in our business by slowing down and taking time, because now we helped in there. And another thing is fitness goals. So something that personal growth goes with fitness with Carol and I. So, when the weather is decent, Carol and I walk. And while we walk, we listen to a marriage podcast. It's something we work on us while we do that. So sometimes if you can combine exercise and personal growth together, like if you're on a treadmill where you could read personal growth or listen to a podcast while you're working out, that way you accomplish 2 things. We call it time compounding, where you can compound your time and do 2 things together. You work your body and work your mind simultaneously, and then you're working towards goals. And then you say, well, I don't have time to work out. Well, I don't have time to read books. Well, if you combine the 2, then you only have to have time to do one thing and get both accomplished. So Carol and I set goals at the beginning of 2024 on weight loss. Carol has lost 50 pounds. I've lost close to 30. So we've lost 80 pounds between us in 2024. We don't have to lose that much in 2025. Wouldn't be much left to us. But the goal is to just maintain this year, right? And lose a few and then just continue to be healthy. So we have our own personal goal. But listeners, what do you have for a fitness goal? Work on your mindset, but you got to work on your health set as well. And work on that and try to just be healthy. Find what's comfortable for you. Whether, you got to fuel your body. You got to be healthy enough to maintain it, and you got to live long enough to spend this money you're going to be making too. What's the good to get to the end of the race and drop dead of a heart attack because all this stress you have in your life? You got to relax, you got to enjoy, you got to have a little bit of fun.
So moving on, like if somebody, in the childcare industry wanted to make some goals regarding their staffing goals, employee goals, what would that look like? What types of things could they, choose for a SMART goal when it comes to their team?
Staffing could be anything from looking at reducing turnover to improving staff culture. And making good hires in 2025, like hiring. Now that the job market has gotten a little bit better, maybe we could slow down and not have to do the mirror test anymore. Put a mirror under an applicant. If it fogs up, you hire them. Remember those days, ladies and gentlemen listening to me? I think we could slow down our hiring process now a little bit while things are materializing. And maybe that's one of the goals that you did. If you think of anything else?
Oh, I think just like you said, staff culture is a big thing, to retain the staff that you have so that you don't have to retrain new staff.
Set a goal of trying to cut turnover by 25%. To maybe if you had 50% turnover, try to cut it to cut it down to, 37%, which is a 25% reduction. So, if you could if you could just improve every year, make it better. And sometimes it's about keeping what you have. You don't have to get a new employee if you keep the employee that you already have. So if your culture is good, you don't have to worry about coming in. Same thing with parents. If you have a good culture as far as your parents and a good relationship with them, you don't have to spend as much on marketing to get them in the front door if you don't have them going out the back door. So if you can keep what you have, that's half the ball game with staff and with parents as well.
Yeah, and I love that you just mentioned marketing, because that's another area that we can, set some goals for. And your marketing goals are likely going to be dependent or derived from where you are with your financial goals, because those are going to be dependent on your enrollment, right? So if you need to get more enrollment, you need to spend more in marketing to get you to where you need to be in in your financial goals and your enrollment goals. So when it comes to marketing, you really need to think about things like your website, your social media presence, maybe like some local community events, things like that. What types of goals would you suggest people set, or criteria that they would use to set some goals when it comes to marketing?
It's one area that I think is one of the weakest points of the people that I talk to, is not spending enough on marketing and doing the wrong things and doing the things they think are working, but they have no idea because they don't gauge the results. So I talked to somebody today and she said, I've done Google ads for 6 years. I said, what kind of results do you get? She goes, I have no idea. I've never looked at it. So for 6 years, she's been spending money doing Google ads and not a clue if she's ever got one lead off it. She just does it for the sake of doing it and has no expertise, has no idea what keyword research is or anything like that. So this is where I see a lot of clients, like they throw up money on boosting a post, but not realizing who they're boosting to. And not spending enough is the biggest thing. If you are not full and if you have money, we call it MCP, money in your competitors' pockets, like openings. Your competitors have those spots filled, and we want those children. So marketing is how you get that there. And there's several ways you could do it. You could rely on word of mouth, which too many people do. They give too much power to their parents. Most parents, they're selfish. They don't tell anybody else about their program because they're too busy talking about themselves. So it's a selfie world out there. They're not sharing with you where they go unless there's something wrong. They're not going to tell everybody. But if things are good at your school, they don't go out and tell everybody that. Like when you go to a movie that you love, nobody ever tells 10 people at their office what they love. But boy, if they hate a movie, they're telling 20 people. So you can't rely on that. In the old days, word of mouth was fantastic. Today, in this selfie culture, do not count on your parents to tell anybody about your school. We live in bubbles. And people live in their own Facebook reality where they go in their lone cubicle, they do their job, they don't have many friends at work anymore because all their friends are on social media. So they don't go out to bars and socialize. They socialize with text messaging and things. So don't rely on that, ladies and gentlemen. You need to get a good marketing company. You need to spend money on marketing. You probably should be spending 2% of your revenue on marketing every year until you're full. And if you make $1 million a year in revenue, that's $20,000 a year you should be spending and devoting to marketing. And the best marketing to do is have a #1 kick butt website. If you have one of these done for you $200 websites, nobody's seeing it because Google's not hitting, their algorithm is not going to find your website because it's not optimized correctly. You can pinch pennies and lose thousands. So invest in a really well done website. It'll come back to you 100-fold. Cindy, you agree with me on the website thing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because, like you said, everybody's going online first. They're going to check your website. They're going to check your social media. They're going to look at your reviews, and they're going to do that before they ask anybody. What do you think about, Little Angels childcare? You know what I mean? Like, I'm considering that before they ask people around, they're going to do their research online first. And if your website is not hitting, if it does not look modern, if it does not answer questions, um, you're going to lose people.
And not only that, we visited people and we can't even find their website. It doesn't even
Oh
show
yeah,
up.
you need to be found. You need to be keyword optimized. Likely, you need to be set up with Google, so like Google local search can find you. A best practice is to be running Google ads, so that way when they are looking for preschool or child care or infant care or after school programs or whatever it is that you offer, Montessori, maybe that's really what they want. They're going to search those terms, and you need to be coming up first, so that way. And then you need to be answering the phone. You need to be doing a killer tour. Your messaging, across all of your digital platforms needs to be consistent. There's so many different things that you need to do, but you need to set some goals. You need to be able to assess where you're at. So look where you were last year. Are you getting the results? Are you doing any of these things that we've mentioned? And if you are, great. How is it working for you? What is your ROI? If you're not doing these things, you need to look at adding them. And maybe you can't do all of it at once. Nobody can do everything at once, but pick the thing that you think you're going to get the most bang for your buck on and add that. And, here at Childcare Genius, we do have a marketing service, Childcare Genius Marketing. We've got some of the best people that know their stuff behind the scenes working on your stuff. So if you're curious about getting some help with your marketing or need an audit or evaluation, let us know. I mean, Brian, maybe you can tell them a little bit more about how to get in contact with us, but, we're happy to help with that.
I'd be happy to do a free marketing analysis for anybody. Just go to our website at childcaregenius.com, go into the marketing tab, and reach out to me and get on my calendar, and I'll do a marketing analysis to see what kind of marketing services you currently use, and analyze that to make sure you're optimizing it to the best ability to get your center fully staffed and fully enrolled. But yes, definitely set goals for your marketing for 2025. It has to be budgeted. You've got to have a plan, like going in. If you're not full, we need to get you full. Full enrollment is the key. So setting marketing goals you need to have that budgeted out. If you're not full, you should be spending at least 2% of your revenue towards marketing until you are full, and with a wait list. So that's probably enough on marketing. So let's move on to the next subject.
Yeah. So, we're talking about setting goals and like evaluating certain things in your life and, where you should set some goals. So like maybe you've, on your little personal mental checklist, you're like, oh, shoot, I could really use some help here, but I'm not really sure where to start. Coaching might be a goal, or coaching might be a way to help you move forward a little bit faster. Of course, we've got Childcare Genius University here. We would be happy to help there. But like, Brian, how can a coach help you reach your goals better and faster?
So if you last week did an assessment on your business and found out some of the areas that weren't so good, maybe you're struggling with enrollment, maybe you're struggling with staffing, maybe you have staff culture. There's so many areas people are struggling with right now, and maybe you just don't know how to get out of it. I can relate because I've been there, and maybe you just didn't make the profit. Maybe you just barely broke even. Maybe you're even losing money, and you just don't know what to do. Well, not hire an expert. Every professional athlete in the world has a coach. Billionaires hire coaches. All billionaires have coaches, and these are coaches that are not billionaires, mind you. These are coaches that help make them better. And the reason they are billionaires is because they invest in people. When they were millionaires, they invested in coaches to help them get even better. And a coach can help bring out the best in you and help you find your blind spots. I have a coach personal that's outside of childcare that helps me make me better. I've actually just getting ready to hire a new one to make me even better, so to sharpen my saw. But whether Childcare Genius University is for you or not, there's many great coaching programs out there. We happen to have a really good one. We think we're the best. But there are other ones out there as well. And in find what works for you. I'm happy if somebody is in coaching, doesn't have to be in my coaching group. As long as they're doing it and making themselves better, that makes me happy.
I really love what you said about it helps you with your blind spots, because sometimes you think you're doing everything you possibly can, and maybe you're making efforts in all areas, but somebody that comes in a little bit, from the outside, or, has a background in what you're doing, they can easily identify the things that you can't see because you're so involved. You're so down into the details and nitty-gritty, the history of everything. A simple suggestion could make the world of difference in so many areas. And I mean, I've got examples of this, in my own life, even just over silly things. But sometimes somebody just has an idea or a one sentence suggestion that will really, really change things for you. So getting that outside perspective from an expert who's been there, done that, really, really can make a difference. So
and keep in mind one thing: if you're listening to this podcast, you are getting coaching. You are taking a step to improve your business. This is the first step to coaching, is you're seeking help. You're seeking a resource. So if you're listening to this, I'm coaching you. Cindy's coaching you. Carol's coaching you.
And stay plugged in, because he brings twice a week awesome tidbits and strategies for you guys.
Imagine you and I sitting on a call, listener, and we being one-on-one for 30, 40 minutes. Maybe, you learn something that can make you $100,000 the next year. I've had $1 million phone calls with people. For one call, I've helped them create $1 million addition to their business. So, maybe that $1 million phone call is waiting for you and I to have that call. So reach out, get on my calendar and let's talk. Love to talk. And lastly, what's our last thing we're going to talk about?
Our last thing that we want to talk about was conferences, because it's a great way for personal growth and, business growth.
Yeah, but everybody should set a goal of what conferences they would like to attend in 2025. And don't just say, oh, something comes up, like plan it out. I want to go to 4 childcare conferences, and there are a lot of good ones out there. I mean, really good ones out there. And there's some not so good ones out there. But you need to kind of plan it out, whether it be local, whether it be a distance. And maybe you could plan a vacation around it, make it kind of a tax deductible thing. We put on 2 childcare conferences in Childcare Genius, and we're kind of impartial. We know ours are the best, but there's some other good ones out there that are just slightly less as good as ours, that you should go to as well, in addition to ours. But April 14th, 15th, 16th in Las Vegas, you definitely, that's a must for you to bring your director and your executive director as well to Childcare Genius Live, because it's the most advanced childcare conference in the world. We'd love to meet you. Carol and I are going to be hosting it. Cindy's going to be one of the keynote speakers there. We have a whole team of people to speak. The directors and the owners are in different rooms. So we're learning different focused content. We're going to be covering finances, staffing, hiring, marketing, you name it. We're going to be hiring. There's no sales pitch here. We don't do that at our conferences. There's no vendor hall. We don't want you distracted. We do things completely different than other conferences because we want you to have an amazing experience. Tickets are on sale right now. We'd like you to go buy, like this second, go on to childcaregenius.com under the conference tab and buy your tickets today. They're very affordable, less than most of the conferences. And then our fall conference, our leverage conference, is in Cancun, Mexico. At the end of the year, late September, early October. We would love to have you there. Imagine going to Mexico, laying on a beach, and getting a tax-deductible vacation in a resort that's all-inclusive, all your alcohol, all your drinks, all your food, all paid for, all-inclusive. A lot of fun. It's going to be great.
And the conference only runs till 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
So the afternoon is yours with other people and relax.
That's the best. I mean, because you in the morning you get you soak up all of this knowledge and you go to lunch, and then you can set implementation plans, or you can just relax with your spouse. It is a very energizing and filling, mind filling, pouring into you conference. I come away, I'm one of the people that speaks, but I come away with so many ideas to apply to our own business. So I love it. I love that conference.
The tickets won't go on sale to that till the spring, but it's something to definitely want to put on your radar. If you're listening to this, we'll have a wait list on our website. So go get on our wait list now. childcaregenius.com under our conference tab, under leverage conference, join our wait list. Get on there now because our wait list gets first access with special ticket deals that the general public doesn't get access to. So you definitely want to get on there now. So thank you, Sindye, for hosting us today.
Well, I did have one more question, and we can kind of keep it quick. But we just talked about a whole bunch of different categories that we should set goals in. But I thought maybe we should talk about like criteria for a good goal, because just saying, "Oh, I'd like to make $1 million this year," without some specifics is not really a goal. But it sounds like a goal if you say that.
Smart goals. They need to be specific. So you actually need to say, I will make X amount of dollars. They need to be attainable. Very important to make it so specific, measurable. You need to be able to measure it. You can measure finances. Attainable is A. R is realistic. It has to be realistic. Saying you're going to make $1 billion next year probably is not realistic. And timely. You got to have a time on it. So 2025 by the end of the year. So if you make your goals smart, but the secret is to write them down. You know, Carol and I have a dreams, goals, and planner journal. So we journal everything. We write down our goals, what they are for the year. And then what I do as well is I put them on a yellow sticky and put them on my computer monitor. So I'll have my 2025 goals up on my computer monitor for me to look at. So my brain sees them subliminally. Even though I'm not looking at it, my brain still sees them. So it's going to manifest throughout the year. And Sindye wanted to always know. She goes, "You're amazing. You always hit these goals you set." And Sindye and I have known each other for about 7 years. And I set a lot of ambitious goals, and I seem to hit them because I breathe them and I see them and I do them and they're in front of me. And I'm a very goal-oriented person. But if you're listening to this, people that I coach are the same way. That if you have your goals in front of you and write them down, people who write down their goals have a 95% better chance of hitting them than people who do not write down their goals. So it's just, it's biblical to write down your vision upon tablets, write down your goals. And by doing so, I'm telling you, there's neurons and there's synapses and things that happen in your brain that I don't understand that causes those connections, that causes your certain parts of your brain to fire and go to work and get those things done. But it starts with writing it down.
It does. It does start with writing it down and with a plan and a deadline. And then it's a goal. I love it. Well, this has been so fun chatting with you guys about setting goals in 2025. Thank you for having me on as a little bit of a guest host, switching it up a little bit. I'd love to hear wisdom from you guys. So thank you to the audience for joining us. Thank you to Brian and Carol for everything you do for the childcare community.
And if you could like our podcast, that would be great. Leave a review would be wonderful. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. And we will see you next week. We've got a great guest lined up and a lot of great guests lined up in 2025. Sindye, thank you so much for being on there, being a great business partner, being a great friend. Appreciate you so very much. And we will see you guys in 2025. Hope to meet everybody at a Child Care Genius Live conference. We'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Childcare Genius podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help grow your childcare business. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Childcare Genius community.